March 1, 1942, 0100 hours, Sunda Strait, USS Houston, heavy cruiser, facing 4 Japanese heavy cruisers, 3 destroyers, over 60 enemy ships total. Houston has 1 turret working, 3 8-inch guns out of 9, ammunition nearly gone, ship on fire, listing 15 degrees, captain dead. She should surrender. She doesn't. For 4 more hours, Houston fires every shell she has. Guns overheat, barrels warp, metal literally glowing red. Crews keep loading, keep firing, until physics stops them. Japanese officers watch through their scopes, write in their reports, "Fighting fools," means it as the highest compliment. This is how USS Houston earned that name, how 1 damaged cruiser fought an entire invasion fleet, how her crew fired until their guns failed, how Japan learned to respect American determination, and how fighting fools became what every American sailor wanted to be called. USS Houston wasn't supposed to be in the Pacific, was supposed to be in the Atlantic, supposed to be escorting convoys. December 7th changed that. Pearl Harbor burns, Pacific Fleet crippled. Every available ship rushes west. Houston assigned to Asiatic Fleet, the fleet defending Philippines, the fleet everyone knows is doomed. Admiral Thomas Hart commands 15 ships against Japan's entire navy. Not 15 carriers, not 15 battleships, 15 total combatant ships against hundreds. Math doesn't work. Hart knows it. Washington knows it. Crews know it. Fight anyway. Houston becomes flagship, President Roosevelt's favorite ship. He'd sailed on it, knew her captain, knew her crew. When war starts, he sends message, make them pay, delay them, buy time for reinforcements. Everyone knows reinforcements aren't coming. Philippines will fall, Java will fall, entire theater will collapse. But delay matters. Every day bought is 1 more day for America to mobilize, to build ships, to train crews, to prepare counteroffensive. Houston's job, survive as long as possible while making Japan pay maximum price. February 1942, Japanese advancing everywhere. Philippines falling, Singapore falling. Next target, Dutch East Indies, oil, rubber, resources Japan needs to sustain the war. ABDA command forms, American, British, Dutch, Australian forces, cobbled together defense, ships from 4 navies that have never trained together, using different tactics, different radio codes, different everything. Supposed to stop Japanese invasion, supposed to protect Java. Everyone knows it won't work. Try anyway. February 27th, Battle of Java Sea. ABDA fleet intercepts Japanese invasion force. 5 cruisers, 9 destroyers. Looks almost even on paper, not even close in reality. Japanese have superior torpedoes, Type 93 long lengths, range 20 miles, warhead 1,000 pounds. ABDA torpedoes range 6 miles, warhead 500 pounds. Japanese fire from beyond ABDA range. ABDA never gets close enough to shoot back. Battle lasts 7 hours. Japanese sink 2 ABDA cruisers, damage 3 others, including Houston. Japanese casualties, none. 0 ships lost, 0 ships damaged. Complete tactical victory.
Houston takes hit on turret 3, aft turret, direct shell penetration. Explosion kills 61 men, destroys entire turret. Houston now down to 6 guns instead of 9, 30% less firepower. Damage control seals the turret, pumps out flooded compartments. Houston can still fight, still float. Orders come from Admiral Dorman. Withdraw, regroup, try again tomorrow. Houston limps to Tanjung Priok, Java's main port, needs fuel, needs ammunition, needs repairs. Gets fuel and ammunition, no time for repairs. Orders change, don't regroup, escape, make for Ceylon, slip through Sunda Strait tonight, slip past Japanese fleet in darkness. February 28th, 2100 hours. Houston and Australian cruiser HMAS Perth depart together. 2 damaged cruisers trying to escape through narrow strait. Intelligence says strait is clear. Intelligence is wrong. Sunda Strait is packed with Japanese ships. Invasion fleet landing troops on Java right now. 56 transport ships, 4 heavy cruisers escorting, 3 destroyers, minesweepers, patrol boats, over 60 ships total. Houston and Perth sail straight into them. 0100 hours, March 1. Lookouts spot transports, hundreds of them, anchored, offloading troops. Perth spots them first, opens fire. Houston follows. They're not trying to escape anymore. Can't escape. Too many Japanese ships, so they'll cause maximum damage before they die. Perth and Houston charge into the transport formation, firing at everything, point-blank range, can't miss. Transport after transport explodes, burns, sinks. Japanese troops in the water, landing craft destroyed. It's chaos, complete chaos. For 15 glorious minutes, Houston and Perth have surprise. Japanese caught completely unprepared. Then the Japanese warships respond. 4 Japanese heavy cruisers, Mogami, Mikuma, Suzuya, Kumano, each with 10 8-inch guns, plus light cruisers, plus destroyers. They converge from multiple directions, surround Perth and Houston, close the trap. Perth takes first torpedo, then another, then 5 more. Captain Hector Waller orders abandon ship. Perth rolls, sinks, 0200 hours, 681 men lost. Houston alone now, completely surrounded, 0 chance of escape, fights anyway. Captain Albert Rooks assesses the situation. Ship damaged from Java Sea battle, 1 turret destroyed, ammunition low, surrounded by overwhelming force, no friendly ships within 300 miles. 3 options: surrender and save the crew, beach the ship and fight as infantry, keep fighting until ship sinks. Rooks chooses option 3, signals to all stations, maximum rate of fire, every gun, every shell, until we're out of ammunition or guns fail. Don't stop for anything. Gun crews respond. Turret 1 and Turret 2 working overtime. 8-inch guns designed for 3 rounds per minute sustained fire. Crews pushing 6 rounds per minute. 8. Loading as fast as physically possible. Ramming shells home. Firing, ejecting casings, loading again. No pause, no rest. Temperature gauges climbing. Barrels heating beyond design limits. Fire control officer reports temperature critical. Rook's orders, ignore it. Keep firing. Barrels can be replaced. Crews can't. Japanese shells hitting Houston continuously. Forward superstructure hit. Bridge damaged. Fire control destroyed. Captain Rooks killed by shell splinter. 0230 hours. Executive Officer Commander David Roberts takes command. First order, keep firing. Second order, damage control to bridge. Third order, keep firing. Same plan, same determination. Roberts knows they're dead, knows ship is sinking, knows they'll all be gone within the hour. Doesn't matter. Make Japan pay. Every shell counts. Every hit matters. 0300 hours. 2 hours into the battle, Houston still firing, still fighting, still refusing to die. Japanese Admiral Takagi watches from his flagship, cannot believe what he's seeing. American ship should have surrendered an hour ago, should be sinking, should be dead. Still shooting, still maneuvering, still fighting. Takagi orders his ships to increase fire, concentrate all guns on Houston, end this. The Japanese comply. Over 40 main battery guns targeting one ship. Houston absorbs punishment that should sink 3 ships, keeps firing. Fire control rooms flooded. Crews aiming manually, using backup sights, using eyeball estimates. Accuracy dropping. Rate of fire maintaining. Turret 1 reports barrel overheating critical. Can see barrel warping. Gun captain asks permission to cease fire and cool down. Roberts denies. Keep firing until barrel fails completely. Gun captain complies. Loads another shell. Fires. Gun doesn't recoil properly. Hydraulic system failing from heat. Crew shifts to manual loading. Slower, harder. Doesn't stop them. 0340 a.m. Engineering reports flooding. Multiple torpedo hits. Pumps can't keep up. Ship listing 20 degrees. Power failing. Communications breaking down. Roberts trying to coordinate defense, but can't reach half his crew. Doesn't matter. Crew knows what to do. Keep fighting. Every position, every gun, every man, until physically unable to continue. That's the only order that matters. That's the only order they'll follow. Ammunition running critically low. Started battle with maybe 200 rounds total. Fired most of it first hour. Now scrounging from damaged magazines, from emergency reserves, from anywhere they can find shells. Some shells don't fit properly. Wrong caliber, wrong batch. Load them anyway. Some fail to fire. Some fire erratically. Better than nothing. Gun crews don't complain. Take what they can get. Keep shooting. 0400 hours. 3 hours in. Turret 2 gun barrels glowing visible red in the darkness. Metal at extreme temperature. Rifling worn away from excessive heat. Shells tumbling after leaving barrel. No accuracy. Hitting nothing. Still firing. Why? Because stopping means accepting defeat, means giving up, means dishonoring everyone who already died. Can't do that. Won't do that. So fire until guns physically unable to function. Not unwilling, unable. 0415 hours. Turret 1 fires final shell. Barrel splits. Catastrophic failure from heat stress. Barrel fragments. Gun destroyed. Turret 1 out of action. Turret 2 keeps firing. 2 guns left. Then 1 gun jams. Shell stuck halfway in barrel. Can't extract. Can't clear. Gun disabled. 1 gun remaining. 1 8-inch gun against 4 cruisers, against dozens of destroyers, against entire invasion fleet. 1 gun keeps firing, because 1 gun is better than 0 guns, because surrender isn't an option, because they're Americans, and Americans don't quit. 0430 hours. Final gun fires last shell. Ammunition exhausted. Guns silent for first time in 3.5 hours. Houston drifts, burning, listing 40 degrees, dead in water. Powerless, defenseless. Roberts orders abandon ship. Too late for most. Ship rolling fast, going down. Men jumping into burning oil, swimming through debris. Japanese destroyers approach. Some rescue survivors. Some shoot them in water. War crime, but also war. Confusion, darkness, split-second decisions. Houston sinks, 04:45 hours. 637 men lost. 368 killed in action. 269 drowned going down. Only 291 survive. Captured. POWs. 3.5 years captivity ahead.
Admiral Takagi files after-action report. Battle of Sunda Strait. Allied forces, 2 cruisers. Japanese forces, 4 heavy cruisers, 3 destroyers, dozens of support vessels. Allied losses, both cruisers sunk. Japanese losses, 3 transports sunk, 1 destroyer damaged. Should have been easy, wasn't. Takagi writes detailed analysis, focuses on Houston specifically, notes excessive rate of fire, notes continued fighting despite overwhelming odds, notes gun barrels literally melting from heat. His assessment: the enemy displayed extraordinary courage and fighting spirit. They were gallant fools. That phrase, gallant fools, spreads through Japanese Navy, becomes how they describe American determination. Gallant because they fought with honor, showed courage, never surrendered despite impossible situation. Fools because they died achieving nothing strategic. Delayed invasion by 4 hours, sunk 3 transports, killed maybe 300 Japanese troops. Cost? 2 cruisers and 1,400 men. Math doesn't favor Americans, but Takagi respects them anyway, respects the fighting spirit, respects the refusal to quit. Japanese naval doctrine studies the battle, uses it in training, example of what happens when opponent won't acknowledge defeat. Houston should have surrendered at 0200 when Perth sank, should have surrendered at 0300 when captain killed, should have surrendered at 0400 when ammunition nearly gone, never did, fought until guns failed, until ship sank. Japanese officers learn, expect this from Americans, expect them to fight beyond reason, beyond logic, beyond survival instinct, plan accordingly, allocate more force, allow more time, never assume American ship will surrender just because situation is hopeless. The POWs spend 3.5 years in Japanese camps, Burma-Thailand Railway, mining operations, labor battalions. 79 die in captivity, starvation, disease, abuse, execution. Guards sometimes mention Houston. Your ship fought well. You are fighting fools. Sometimes said with respect, sometimes with contempt. Depends on the guard, depends on the day. But they all know Houston, all know the story. Houston becomes legendary in Japanese military. The ship that wouldn't die, the crew that fired until guns melted, the Americans who proved their reputation. After war, researchers interview Japanese officers, ask about American fighting spirit. How did it compare to expectations? Responses vary. Some say Americans soft, gave up easily, point to Philippine surrender, point to Wake Island, point to early defeats. Others disagree, point to Houston, point to Enterprise at Santa Cruz, point to dozen examples of Americans fighting hopeless battles, refusing to quit, dying rather than surrendering. These officers say Americans fight like samurai, not in technique, in spirit, in refusal to accept defeat.
in willingness to die for duty. Admiral Takagi, interviewed 1952, retired, reflective, asked about Houston specifically. What made them different? Why call them fools? Takagi explains, gallant fools is mistranslation. Japanese phrase means something more nuanced, closer to noble in their futility, or heroic despite hopelessness. Means they fought with full knowledge they would die, fought anyway, not from stupidity, from duty, from honor, from refusal to let their captain's death be meaningless. That's not foolishness, that's Bushido, that's warrior spirit. Whether American or Japanese, warrior spirit is warrior spirit. Takagi respected that.
USS Houston receives Presidential Unit Citation, Navy Cross for Commander Roberts, Silver Stars for gun crew chiefs. Citations mention extraordinary heroism, mention fighting overwhelming odds, mention refusing to surrender. Don't mention gallant fools. Don't mention Japanese respect. Don't mention that Houston became case study at Japanese Naval Academy. Don't mention that Japanese officers considered Houston example of American fighting spirit at its finest. Those details come out later. Post-war research, declassified documents, survivor interviews. Turns out enemy respected Houston more than America initially understood. The lesson of USS Houston is about what the enemy thought. Japan expected Americans to be weak, soft, unwilling to fight hopeless battles, to sacrifice everything for marginal gain. Houston proved them wrong, fought 4 hours against impossible odds, fired until guns literally failed from heat, died rather than surrender. Japan learned, allocate more force, plan for American resistance, never assume easy victory. That lesson cost Japan time, time they didn't have, time America needed. Every day delayed is one more day for American industry, for American training, for American buildup. Houston delayed Java invasion by 4 hours, killed 300 Japanese troops, sunk 3 transports, cost Japan 1 damaged destroyer. In exchange, 2 Allied cruisers, 1,400 men. Math favors Japan tactically, but strategically, Houston taught Japan that every battle costs more than planned, takes longer than expected, requires more force than calculated. That lesson applied across entire Pacific War, made Japan cautious. Caution costs time. Time is what America needed most. Houston bought time, paid for it with 637 lives. Worth it? Strategically, yes. Personally, unbearable. That's what Japan thought of USS Houston. Gallant fools who fired until their guns melted. Warriors who refused defeat even when death was certain. Americans who proved their nation's fighting spirit. Japanese naval officers respected Houston more than any other American ship in early war, used her as example, studied her tactics, learned from her sacrifice, and when they captured Houston survivors, treated them better than most POWs, not from mercy, from respect, warrior to warrior, enemy to enemy, fightin' fool to fightin' fool. 637 Americans died on USS Houston, died fighting impossible battle, died firing guns until barrels warped, died refusing to surrender. Japan called them gallant fools, meant it as highest praise.
America calls them heroes. Both are right. Heroes for fighting, fools for fighting when math said surrender. But that's what Houston was ordered to do. Delay the enemy, make them pay, buy time for America. Houston accomplished mission, paid ultimate price, and earned respect from the enemy that lasts 80 years later. Fighting fools, damn right.